How you doing, everybody? It's Thursday, it's the 7th of June 2012, and I was just last night reading through a few of the international papers. Came across a fascinating article, and you know, it's kind of like one of those situations where you know this is going on, but you read the article, and as a result of reading the article, then you look up and you do a little bit of work. And I've put a few links up here, and you can check out what I'm saying. And I just want you to use your imagination for a moment here, okay? I want you to imagine you live in a city, and the city has 200,000 people living in it. All right, and it's a walled city. It has a big wall all around it. And what happens is, you live in this city, and every day you go to work. And out of the 7 working days of 1 week, you work for 6 days, 12 hours a day, and you work for a pittance. You work for a total pittance, okay? Work for a tiny amount of money. Now, if you want to leave the city that you live in, you have to get a pass. And inside the city, there are swimming pools and whatever, and you live in dormitories. That's the other thing. Do you understand it? You don't have a house. You live in dormitories with hundreds of thousands of other people. Just like Auschwitz or Spandau or Treblinka or whatever. You know, one of those places. It's a bit like one of those. It's a more humane version of that. Because you're fed 3 times a day on the most basic food, which is doled out in canteens. Now, this city, by the way, this city's in China, and it's one of many cities, identical cities, that's in China. But what happened yesterday was, there was a riot inside the city. Not a full-scale riot, the whole 200,000 people didn't riot. A group of them rioted, and what happened was, the local police arrived in trucks and beat the bejesus out of them and carted a load of them away. Okay? Now, this city is owned by a company, a commercial company owns this city. The company's called FOXCONN. And you have a read about them. I put a couple of links up so you can have a read about them. They're the biggest manufacturers of electronic equipment in the world. Personal electronic equipment. You know, like these iPads and iPods and all this shit. That's what they do. They're the manufacturers of it. Now, the reason I raise this is very, very simple. That can only happen. All that can only happen when all of the people that are in that place, that city, have no representation as a body. See, they're employed by a company called FOXCONN. It's a Taiwanese company, by the way. The bottom line about it is, when that company employs the individual, that company is not made up of individual members, like individual directors and all that there. It's made up of a chairman, a board, then a board of directors, and then whole groups and large groups of people deciding policy and how the money is spent and all the rest of it. Okay, so we're talking about from the management level up, it's all organised in terms of groups, large groups of people. But the workers are all individual workers. And that's how they're kept as slaves. Because that's what this is. That's what this is. It's a slave camp. And those workers that are in it don't know any different. They live in a society where individual rights do not exist. I'll give you an example about this. This brought this to mind. Locally, we have a man here, very nice man. He came here with his family. There's him and his wife and his son, young son. And they came here about 10 years ago to live in Ireland. And he became very recently an Irish citizen. So him and his wife and his son are now Irish citizens. And I was joking with them. I don't want to use their names, but in case somebody knows who I'm talking about, I don't want to offend anybody here. So I was calling him Citizen Jim when I'd meet him. I'd wave to him and say, "Hello, Citizen Jim." And I'd say the same to his wife. "Hello, Citizen Margaret." That's not their names, by the way, okay? Just so you know. They were born in the Far East, okay? And I got into a conversation with him recently, and he asked me in the conversation, why do you say that to me? Why do you call me? You don't call any of the parties. Oh, I said I do. I call loads of them Citizen. I said it, but I do it with you because I know you've come from a society where the concept of being a citizen is completely alien. I said you came out of a society which is basically run by the military. And you as an individual have no merit, no nothing in it. You have no rights, you have no nothing. And here you come to society where you have guaranteed rights through our constitution. You must have read our constitution. Of course I've read your constitution. And he followed it up himself without me pandering to him. He said, there is more to life than just making money. And it's one of the reasons that I became an Irish citizen. When I read the Constitution, your Constitution, I suddenly realised I'm going to be part. This is a positive thing. This is a really positive thing for my children, my child that's here, and if he has children. And I don't want to be part, even though it's my country, I don't want to be part of a country. Because as he said, I could make more money probably. He works here, but he probably could make more money back home. He certainly would probably have a higher standard of living back where he comes from. But he said, there's more to a society than just money. Anyway, I digress slightly, but it's aligned to what the general thrust of where I'm coming here. The bottom line about it is, China and her whole economy is based on cities like that. These people are all slaves. No rights, no nothing. They had a protest there yesterday. They sent in the local police. You can bet your bottom dollar they were all heavily armed. I bet you they battered the bejesus out of those people. And hundreds of them are taken off to pokey. And the irony of it is, the pokey's probably psychologically and physically a better place for them than the fucking kip that they come out of. But anyway, that's not the point. The main point I'm trying to come from is Chinese society is based around, that's a microcosm of Chinese society generally. Unless you're one of the elites or unless you're one of the inner sanctum of the Communist Party. But what a joke. What a joke. The Communist Party, my arse. Workers' rights and all. Unbelievable stuff. I mean, this is George Orwell at Part 10. Can you imagine what must go on inside? What it must be like inside these places? Can you imagine it? But the main reason I raise this is because all that can only happen when the people who are inside it do not have representation as a body. Do you think if those people, those 200,000 people that are in that city, do you think if they were joined up as a body in some sort of, whatever you want to call it, a trade union or some sort of a cooperative, do you think that management could get away with that? They could on my arse. They could on my arse get away with it. It all only happens because it's bullying. It's just bullying. That's all it is. You know, people talk about this, that, and the other. Life is really simple. Life is really simple. It's all about people who want to bully other people, to have power over them. And that's what it's about. It's about a state that allows a company called FOXCONN, a Taiwanese company, who employs 1.2 million people. Imagine 1.2. Their revenues last year were 100 billion. And out of that, they claim they made 2 or 3 billion. I put the links up there. You can have a look at it. But all this can only happen because the people, God love them, they've allowed themselves to be put in that position because they're treated as individuals. You know what I mean? They have no consolidation. They have no cooperation, social cooperation. They have no unionisation. Whatever way you want to call it. Do you think if they had, that they'd allow themselves to be in that situation? They would have my ass. So when I hear people talking about China and it's one, just bear that in mind. That's the background of China. That's what's going on. That's why you've got GDP going up by 10% a year. That's why you've got a balance of payments, a credit balance. That's why this globalization is occurring. That's why these shitheads that run these corporations in America are down there giving this work to these people. So instead of paying $30,000 or $50,000 to an American worker, they're down there paying these people $50 a week. That's the world we live in. And it just comes home when you read the articles and about, but I tell you this, it's the old story. You can only do that for a certain amount of time. You can only do all that for a certain amount of time. You can only do all that for a certain amount of time. And then what will happen is, very, very quickly, things get out of control very, very quickly. Anyway, that's all I really want to say. I just want to, point out, we live in a world where, for all the talking and all, the world is a really simple place. We've got a tiny group of bullies, and they need face down. That's all. We're going to talk more. Okay, bye.